So I want to talk with you today about trauma.
Yes.
Because we know that in the last years, many scientific studies researched about trauma, and in the clinical area we are doing many researches and many practices with a traumatized client. What do you think? We are in front of more traumatic states, or we are talking more about traumatic states?
I think maybe both of them. I think as far as we got more interested, in the traumatic situation of people, so I think we attract more traumatic problems to close to us, and I think also as we work with body in body psychotherapy, as we use the body in the process of psychotherapy, the body is part of the process. We know since before all these theories of trauma came, that how we could help people to find a way to deal with the trauma using the body that was much more useful than only talking about the problems.
Yeah.
So in body psychotherapy, I think we went deeper in the problematic of the repressed trauma in the body. With the question of neurosciences, that in the last 5-6 years, neurosciences became
more and more involved.
More and more involved in that. So we have neuroscientists and psychiatrists through neurosciences finding out that the better way to get not only get rid but to deal with the trauma is through the body. Otherwise it stays on the conscious level of talking, and we never go into the subcortical, non-conscious places of the body where the trauma lives.
Yeah. So I agree with you when you say that we attract more, and through the body we can deal more deeper, I think, with traumatic states. And I know that we can touch, we can have contact with very deep traumatic memory just through the body work.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think so too. And this is by experience, as in the clinic, in our practice, in my practice, I think in your practice too. When traumatized people, when I am dealing with traumatized people, I find out that these people, they know about the trauma, they understand about the trauma, they know that the trauma happened, but they know, but they cannot let go the trauma, they cannot change their life into a better position. So at this moment, usually, when I go into the body, trying to focus bit by bit, even looking at inside of the body, where the person feels the body, because the trauma might be in the viscera, might be in the plexus, might be in the hands, might be in the arms, might be in the legs. It depends of what happened. So when the person can go and be in touch with that, so we go together into that point, helping them to find a pulsation, because I think the trauma blocks the pulsation.
Interrupts.
It freezes,
Yes.
Interrupts the pulsation,
Yes. Yes.
And then by stimulating, the pulsation, of course people will recover, the movements that were left before the trauma happened.
Yeah.
So I have this question always when I work with traumatic people. For example, you face a trauma, for example, an abuse or a sexual abuse. No? So let's say the woman, no, or the man, it might be a man or a woman, it doesn't matter who is abused, no?
Yes.
Really,
It's a person.
it's a person, yeah, exactly. So something was happening just before the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually try to focus and go into that moment or that hour before the trauma to recover what was going on there.
Yeah.
You know, that became blocked by the trauma.
We can call it the answer, the original answer, the original reaction to the traumatic stimulation. And I want to add something what you are saying. We know now through neurosciences that the stimulation comes to the person, comes to the brain, and the body part of the brain reacts 6 times faster than the cortical part of the brain. It means that we move, we make the answer at the beginning through the body, and then the mind starts to adjust, to think something, to understand something.
Yes.
So it means that in the traumatic states I start to react and I block my answer, or my reaction is blocked by the environment, by the what is happening
By the
outside.
violence.
Yes, the violence or something like this. So the real original memory of the traumatic stimulation is in the body.
Yes, yes. And then the person kind of gives up, no? Whenever there is a stimulation about what happened, the person do not react anymore as a normal reaction to any kind of stimulation, right? So the stimulation stays behind the level of response, no?
Yeah, yeah. And in the past, when I started studying clinical cases about trauma, I realized that all the literature was about thoughts, cognitive level, and no one or very few are aware on the body level. What happens to the body? What happens to my sensations, to my movement? So the body level. And another thing I like to remind is what Bessel van der Kolk said in one of his books. He said the problem of trauma is that the trauma is not in the past. So it happened in my past, for example, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. But the problem is that it's always in the present times. So the clinical answer has to do with it. We, as a psychotherapist, I think we have to help the client to put the trauma in the past, instead of having every time symptoms or reactions that doesn't belong to the present time.
Yes, put the trauma in the right place and not in the present day.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And then it's important how to clear that. No? So what happened after the trauma, for example, the whole life that comes after the trauma, and if the person brings the trauma together, no?
Yeah.
she continues to respond to the world from the trauma as a reactive formation, you know, and not from an original response
Yes.
of her life, no? Yeah.
Yes, we have to complete, to give, how to say, a continuation to the answer, to the body answer, who have been stopped by the traumatic situation.
And so, I think there are, each of us, we have a different technique, kind of technique, no, to approach the trauma, no? And I think one of the important things nowadays, you know, after so many years of experience, no, is that we know that we can approach the trauma, but we don't leave the trauma again as some therapists would do many years ago, no? So we kind of approach the trauma, no, to look at more close, no, and feel the body just after the trauma or just before the trauma, you know, how the body reacted, no, either by closing, either by not stop fighting or stop being in the process of his own originality, you know, or after when it's already blocked, no, and then independent of the technique you use, maybe the important thing is how to warm up that body again, how to give life to the body that was frozen, you know. So we cannot change the trauma itself, but we can change it just after, no?
Yes.
By approaching in a way of getting to know particularities, details, sometimes very small details of the body functions, no?
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes it's so important to help the person to face again with very little pieces of the experience.
Yes.
And not with the whole experience.
Yes.
But very little pieces, and to restore, to repair this experience.
Yes. Sometimes, for example, the person cannot move the arm, you know, because the arm became blocked from moving during the trauma situation, you know, and then to recover the movement of the arm is already a big thing, you know. But it's a small, very small and detailed way of getting in touch to the body, no, to the arm itself, no.
I work with such a technique when I say that I work with key gestures. It means that person spontaneously remembering difficult states or traumatic states makes some movement, but very little and out of awareness, out of consciousness. So this is the original and unconscious and blocked body reaction. So we can take these gestures and help the person to go on, to amplify, to continue, and to find the real experience who was healthy but who was not happening in the past.
Exactly. For example, in abuse, the person loses the capacity many times, loses the capacity of feeling pleasure in a giving up way, in a way of relaxing into pleasure. It's like the body forbids that, because it's like the body is still afraid of being abused again, you know? And then as we go together with the client in this situation, no, it's like helping the body to regain the pulsation in a safe way, you know, and leaving the ghosts of the past beside, you know.
Yes, what you are saying, I agree with you. And we can say that working with trauma is very different from working with neurotic states, or in traditional way of working in psychotherapeutic setting. in the traditional work, we have to face with the problem, to go inside of the experience. Here with traumatic states, we have to restore the resources, the capacity,
Yes.
the consciousness of being alive. It's different, another point of view.
Yeah, and the relationship with the therapist at this point is a clue. Is very important, you know,
yes.
because it's kind of rebuilding the trust, you know, through a relationship, you know. So because the person needs to rebuild the trust of life again, you know, of feeling the well-being, the pleasure, and the spontaneity of life. In trauma, we lose the spontaneity of life.
Yes.
We lose the capacity of stay into a state of well-being in a secure situation. You know? There's always the danger. It's like the danger is always there. You know?
Especially in what we call relational trauma.
Yes.
And the person can lose his or her trust on human beings. And sometimes persons prefer to refer themselves to God, to the religion, to the ecological aspects of nature, but they don't trust anymore deeply on human beings, on the persons.
Yes. I had a strong experience some days ago with a client in a group, you know, that is already even an experienced therapist, you know, and she was abused, you know, at some time in her life, and she's still very much connected with that abuse, you know. And I was just talking to her, as I was just talking to the rest of the group. And I don't remember exactly what I said to her, but it was just a conversation in the middle of the group. And after 5 minutes, she came with a lot of anger against me.
To you?
To me. No? And I didn't understand very much well, but I accepted that and I stayed quiet, waiting to find the way to get in touch, because she became, of course, very much defensive. No? So next day, she asked to come back to that point, you know, and then I prepared her. Look, I'm here to help. So let's try to find a way that you don't feel offended by the things I say. So I am not the person that caused any harm to you. I don't have that in my history with you. So let's start just from that point, you know, that I am able to say things to you, and that if you feel offended, you just tell me that I try to find a different way to get there, you know. And then it was incredible, because she started to tell me the history that repeated just 2 months before with someone, you know, that transgressed the relationship with her the person tried to come out from the professional place into a more intimate place, and after 10 years of professional relationship, and she felt totally betrayed, exactly, and then she understood that the whole anger she put on me the day before, it was against that person that provoked that situation. No? So that the trauma protects you from whoever is close to you, and you lose the contact, and then you can come with your rage against anybody that somehow the person feels that is threatening that point. No? And from that point on, then we could go deeper into that situation, and she came down again, and we could find a way to have a better affective contact, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she felt
Yes.
helped, you know.
Abused persons lose their boundaries, and they don't understand who is the threatening person
Yes.
and who is not.
Yes, yes. And sometimes only a word can
Yes.
stimulate.
It's a trigger
The trigger.
stimulation.
It can be a word. It
Immediately.
can be the way you look.
Yes.
It can be the way you touch.
Yes.
It can be the tone of your voice.
Yes.
It can be anything to
But
trigger.
look,
Yeah.
once I was with a severely sexually abused client,
Yes.
and I was working with her since 2 years. So we had a good relationship. We were working in a very good way.
Yes.
But once a day, I was listening to her, and suddenly I did this gesture on my body. I have some,
Itching.
yeah, yes. So I stayed, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds. Then the session ended. After a week, she came back and she said, I spent a terrible week. I felt dead. I felt angry. I felt like in a panic state. And I was a little bit surprised. What's happened? And she said, you last time made this gesture like you were exciting yourself in a sexual way. So I was totally shocked because it was so far from my imagination.
Yes, yes.
But this kind of gesture was a trigger stimulation.
Yes.
Oh, terrible,
Yes.
terrible.
Yes.
So we have to pay attention to our body also.
Yeah. But at the same time, it was good that she came back. She came back to you and could talk about that. You know?
Yes.
And it was a good opportunity.
Oof.
Then you had the problem in front of you, and you had the opportunity to deal with the problem.
Yes.
Yes. I think the same happened with me, with this woman that came back next day.
Yes.
And well, there was some trust there, so that we could find the
A reparation.
a reparation. Yes.
Yes.
A reparation. So maybe the objective of working with trauma is to find a
The
reparation.
reparation.
Yes.
I think that the key word, one key word can be reparation.
Yes.
Slowly, gradual reparation.
Yes. And always focusing in the body, because you see your gesture here was body gesture,
Yes.
stimulated her to that, and then to find in the body the reparation.
Yes.
For the client to find in the body
Yeah.
the possible reparation.
Okay,
I think
so we have a lot of work to do.
yes.
We can say this, surely.
Bravo, finito.